Hello, my name is Pavlo, not to be mistaken with Pablo, I'm more Eastern guy. And today we'll be talking about new discrete 1-bit digital to analog converter RU7 by Cayin. Not so long ago, actually, I reviewed RU6 and it's a really great dongle, one of the best on the market. And here they already achieved, engineering masterpiece. They created engineering masterpiece because here they used the resistor ladder R to R digital to analog converter. But they decided to develop architecture further and they released the 1-bit digital to analog converter that also utilize resistors. I won't be diving deep into this technology because if you're interested, it's better to visit Cayin own site. And they have these things described with more details, with illustrations, so it will be easier to understand. And here they use this 1-bit digital to analog converter, added good amplification, perfect power control, and so on. And at the end we're getting another advanced dongle digital to analog converter that we'll try today. And also the price is the same, it's $300 or about that amount. And probably that's all I need to say in the preface, so let's see what we've got in this box. So, box is black, looks pretty stylish, and inside here is digital to analog converter itself. So let's put it away for some time and see what we're getting also here. Some papers, manuals, also USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, which is pretty useful in this case. USB Type-A to USB Type-C adapter that you can carry everywhere on your keychain. Not sure if someone will be doing that, but anyway. Also nice green leather case. Actually a pretty good addition to the accessory set, and I like that for the expensive digital to analog converters we're getting a nice leather case. And also two sticky magnet pads that you can use to attach your digital to analog converter to somewhere. So you stick it to your smartphone or other digital transport, and then you can just use magnet in the case to attach it. So in terms of accessory set, it's great. Now let's look at the size and do some comparisons. So RU7 is smaller, so you can see width is smaller and thickness is a bit smaller. Actually butt length is about the same. So here they used interesting angled forms, and here we're getting more smoothed ones. I can't say like what is better, what is worse. I like both designs. I like this glass front panel with the screen, convenient buttons, separate for volume control and one for mode switching. And you can see here we're getting 3 small buttons, but here you're getting a more natural dual button, so your finger just slide in place and you can easily find the volume adjustment buttons. So the rest is classical and traditional. You plug it one way to your digital source, and here you can connect headphones. Both single-ended and balanced outputs are present, and they also can work as a line out. In terms of power, if I remember right, single-ended is about 160 milliwatts and balanced is 400 milliwatts. And also, of course, it depends on how reliable your transport is in terms of power delivery. But in general, it's a pretty modest digital to analog converter in terms of power consumption, maybe because here uses resistor ladder digital to analog converter, it's less power consuming compared to modern digital to analog converter chips. I didn't do any precise measurements, probably I should start doing that, but still I'm not there yet. but actually it's below average power consumption estimated by I charge my smartphone to 100% and see how battery draining increase with it. So it's not the most power saving digital to-analog converter, but it's pretty far from being power hungry. Here is the operating screen of this digital to-analog converter. You can see that it shows volume, low or high gain, and headphone or line output, and current signal resolution. It looks blinking on camera, but in real life it's not blinking. And if you press and hold the mode button, you can select gain, low or high. Then you can select upsampling to DSD 128, 256 and or DSD 64. Then output, phone out or line out. And the backlight time, you can also select longer or shorter, and single press of this button just turns on and off the screen. So basic controls are here, and of course you can also change the volume using device internal volume regulator, which is pretty good. And the most interesting part, of course, is the sound. So a lot of people, I think, skipped all my previous talks and jumped here. Hit like if you did that. Or don't hit, actually, you're free to make a choice. So I built the improvised setup, Noble Audio Han as an illustration. Of course, I'm using different headphones and earphones, including Han, but not limited to it. RU7 per se, and a few M17 as digital transport, just for showcase purposes. Of course, it doesn't give any benefit when it's used as digital transport, and the vast majority of people will use RU7 with some smartphone or some compact affordable player or something like that. But experience that M17 gives with UAPP is totally similar to the smartphone experience with same player installed. Or like you can use some other players, just be sure that player is capable to directly access this dongle and send signal to it. And also for Cayin highlights that, and it's pretty important here, it has own volume control schema, so player on the transport or on the source side should be at maximum volume, so it's better to remove any volume regulation on the transport side. And in terms of general representation, it's actually, it's a bit of oversimplification, but I'd say that it's somewhere in between of R2R RU6 and more widespread modern delta sigma digital to analog converters, like good digital to analog converters, because it has a slight hint of added warmth and good emotion representation, great dynamics, but at the same time it's less colored compared to RU6. But about comparisons, let's talk closer to the end of this video, so meanwhile let's describe the sound step by step. So bass goes to maximum depth, it's really well controlled, so all that things you know. It's not boosted and it's not accented in terms of quantity, of course, but it has like a hint of additional tightness and impactness, probably because of that digital to analog converter schema used here. Or maybe it's also can be because of good amplification used here. I'm not sure which part is responsible for that, but impact is really good, it's tight, it's pretty pleasant, and at the same time, you know, it's not overdone. So like some earphones, for example, or sources that make a it gives you more of it's fun at the beginning, like really tight and hard hitting bass, but at the same time it can become fatiguing, especially if records are not created for such type of bass. But here you'll get punch when it's need, really firm and good, but when it's not need, it's really good in representing small nuances and details, so really versatile and balanced low frequencies. And I prepared two examples. First one, it's Barbara Dennerlein and the track named Frog Dance, and as you can see, it's from the Stereo Play Munich 2019 compilation, and typical audiophilic tracks are like more bit less bass focused than this one, but here you're getting a really saturated bass that is basically omnipresent, and the rest of tune is just laid on top of this bass. So it's pretty mighty, but at the same time it requires good control that RU7 gives to not shadow the rest of the track and the rest of the music. And RU7 delivers that perfectly. And the second example, it's Tool 46 and 2, and it's like opposite example. So bass is present here, of course it's not dominating, it's just a part of the overall music and it's not highlighted, but it requires nice and good impact to give you that sense of bass guitar playing, and RU7 delivers that really well also here. So you'll get nice introduction here, and when the main part starts unveil, you also getting like good separation of bass, guitar and other instruments. Mid frequencies are really enjoyable. They have good resolution, but without going too far in the micro contrast. It's not the dongle for critical listening for that absolutely dry and monitoring representation. No, instead it will give you emotions, it will boost them a little bit, but not as much as RU6, for example. So it's closer to more natural and balanced sound with good technicalities, but still it offers really great dynamics. Actually, dynamics is not boosted, it's just represented really well when it's present in the record. But emotions are getting a bit of boost, and it's especially good for the vocal part. When we have emotional vocal, it's an enjoyable experience. There is a slight hint of added warmth, but it's like more of decoration and not the distinguishing feature of this player, like it also was for RU6. And it sometimes helps some records that are recorded poorly without proper weight distribution. It helps to fix things a little bit. It's not super forgiving, but it's also not super critical, so with some poor records it will sound okay. But of course it makes a lot of sense to get better recordings to unveil its full potential. Imaginary stage is above average, noticeably above, but at the same time it's not super huge. And depth and width are basically equally developed, so it's not like stretched or squeezed type of stage building. It's not the biggest one, but also it's not the smallest one, definitely. But it's really well built with all that precise pinpointing, especially with good earphones. It's an enjoyable type of stage. So first example track for the mids, it's one Halen Hot for Teacher, and it's the track with one of the greatest drum intros in the history of the music. Then appears vocal, that voice part that present here, and of course magnificent guitar work of Eddie Van Halen. I think that after what he did to guitars, he must be accused by some kind of guitar harassment. Of course, I'm just joking here, but like he was the virtuoso of guitar and definitely the musician that pushed limits of guitars in the music. And all that requires nice, dynamic and good mid frequencies, starting with the drums, and actually it's probably unavoidable to unavoidable comparisons with RU6. Here you'll get more defined, more faster, like more realistic type of drums because of less fade. And the guitar and voice also sounds great, especially that a bit of boosted emotions are great for the vocal here. And the second example, it's just about the voice. It's Marko Hietala. I really like him as a part of Nightwish. I really hope that he will return, but it's so far just a hope. But his solo album is also a great showcase of his talent as vocalist. And I Dream is like, it's not probably metal music, and not sure if can it be considered as a rock, or probably yes, it's a rock, but not something heavy. And it's all about his vocal, and this digital tonal converter fits just perfectly into such type of music, like super emotional vocal and nice presented accompaniment. As for treble, it's also improvement compared to predecessor. You're getting a bit more defined treble, more presence of the treble. It's not sounding harsh, and it's still not like super energetic in terms of treble representation, but it has really good extension, nice overtone saturation, basic but present layering, and meaning that it gives you well balanced treble. It's not the model for those who like really energetic and forward treble, and at the same time it's not a model for those who like absolutely soft and comfortable treble, so it's balancing somewhere in between, giving you nice sense of airiness, nice sense of realism for timbre complex instruments, to showcase their overtones in the best possible manner. So it's like the continuation of the sound ideas of this dongle, and it's great that all parts of sonic spectrum fits perfectly into the idea of tuning engineers. First example for the treble, it's Moment's Notice by John Coltrane, and you understand why this track is here. Saxophone and all the accompanying instruments have a lot of overtones that goes high, and actually it requires nice performance of the treble. It's not perfect in general, of course, but it's a really good value for this price in terms of treble representation, and all other parts too, but we now talking about the treble first of all. And last example, it's Eric Clapton, Layla, Unplugged. Great performance. I'm not sure, am I the only one who prefers this unplugged version to classical one, but I really like it for the sense of live performance and for the sense of audience it gives, and that all requires a good good treble performance, which this dongle gives you. In terms of pairing, it's pretty universal, and in many cases probably it will be limited by your transport. If transport is capable of delivering enough energy, it will drive even average sensitive full-size headphones without big problems. 400 milliwatts is pretty enough power for the dongle especially. And on the other hand, it has a really good black background, and actually it's improved compared to RU6 too, and that means that you'll get less background hum. And speaking about the comparisons, actually I already said about RU6, but let's summarize that things. So RU7 is bit more detailed, more technical, less weight, and because of that sounding more natural with better treble and lower background noise. So basically RU6 was really good, and this one became even better. Hypebeast FC6, it's probably close in terms of representation to the RU7 because it also was less weighty and also more technical version of RU6, but it has a bit more of that multi-bit, let's name it so, coloration, so mids sounding a bit more analog, but the difference is small. Here you get a bit better bass, both in terms of control and quality and other stuff, but for the FC6 I like treble a bit more. It's a bit more balanced, at least to my taste. And also Lot 2 PO-S2 that I've tested some time ago, it's also good, but RU7 is better because it gives a bit more natural and musical representation, thanks to that, probably thanks to that digital tonal converter used here. So I haven't tested luxury and precision dongles, they getting a lot of popularity, so can't compare here, but so far it's the best, one of two best probably digital tonal converters I've heard. It has crazy value, really enjoyable, and if you consider getting some really great sound for the dongle, it's easily one of the top options to consider. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a great day.